Dillon Gabriel had done everything right. He cleared concussion protocol, stayed prepared, and kept the team steady, only to be benched, not for poor performance, but for failing to generate enough buzz. Behind closed doors, owner Jimmy Haslam saw declining revenue and a media lull, then stepped over Kevin Stefanski's authority to install Shedeur Sanders as the starter. Gabriel's demotion hit hard, not because he lost the job to a better player, but because business strategy won out over football integrity. While Gabriel swallowed the decision with professionalism, the move left a crack in the locker room. And yet, Shedeur Sanders met the moment with sharp execution and visible poise, muting early whispers of favoritism. What began as a PR play could evolve into a defining chapter of his career, if his performance keeps pace. But the stakes are higher than just one game. This moment tests the boundaries between ownership ambition, coaching autonomy, and player legitimacy in today's NFL.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
Jimmy Haslam just changed the entire quarterback trajectory of the Cleveland Browns. Not through coaching, not through performance, not through player development. Through pressure. Let's not sugarcoat it. This wasn't some subtle behind-the-scenes influence. According to multiple leaks, Browns owner Jimmy Haslam pressured head coach Kevin Stefanski to bench Dillon Gabriel and hand the starting job to rookie Shedeur Sanders. And the reason? Not football, not injuries, not even practice results. It was business. Ticket sales were down. Fan engagement was quiet. The buzz was flatlining. So what do you do when you need attention fast? You go with the name that draws headlines. The quarterback with millions of followers, the one the media won't stop talking about, the one who can light up press coverage before he even throws a pass. You go with Shedeur Sanders. And that's exactly what Haslam did. Now, let's rewind for a second. Dillon Gabriel had just cleared concussion protocol. He was ready to go. He'd been doing what a young QB is supposed to do. Learning, grinding, improving. He wasn't dominating, sure, but he was holding it together. Performing adequately, not giving the staff any real reason to pull him. He did the work. He got healthy. He stayed focused. And then boom, he's benched. One not because of a bad game. Not because of lingering medical issues. But because someone upstairs saw an opportunity to turn Shedeur Sanders into a storyline. Not just a backup, but the guy. The franchise face. The headline. It's not uncommon in today's NFL for media value to influence decisions. But this wasn't subtle. This was blatant. A top-down decision that reeked of marketing motives rather than football logic. And it worked. The announcement that Sanders would be starting instantly reignited national media attention. Social engagement shot up. Ticket sales bounced. The Browns were suddenly relevant again, but not for anything they'd done on the field. And that's the problem. This was a football decision hijacked by hype. Stefanski didn't announce Sanders as the starter because he believed it gave his team the best shot at winning. He did it because the owner leaned on him. Because the business side of the operation took control of the depth chart. That's a dangerous game. It's one thing when owners want to be involved. That's their right. But when they start making football decisions based on marketing metrics, that's when the system breaks down. It sends a message that development, readiness, and locker room dynamics are all secondary to whatever boosts the brand. And make no mistake, this move shook the locker room. Reports started surfacing about internal frustration. Veteran players weren't shy in hinting that the decision didn't sit right. There were concerns about team chemistry, about pressure being dumped onto a rookie QB, about trust between players and management. It created tension where there didn't need to be any. Because while Shedeur Sanders is a talented, mature, and poised quarterback, this wasn't his moment to take by force. It was handed to him, under a spotlight that was built more by business interests than by on-field necessity. And yet, Sanders stepped in and handled it. In his first start, he looked sharp, confident. He showed off his mental toughness, his accuracy, his ability to lead. He didn't flinch under the noise. He didn't let the chaos swallow him up. That matters. He's clearly not just hype. Sanders proved that when called upon, he's more than just a name. He's capable, prepared. His composure under pressure spoke volumes, and if anything, it showed that he can rise above the noise and deliver. But that still doesn't excuse how this moment came, because for every throw Sanders completes, there's still a shadow hanging over the process. The perception that he skipped the line, not because he earned it more, but because he was more marketable. That kind of narrative is hard to shake, no matter how well you play. And then there's Dillon Gabriel. You have to respect how he's handled this. No public outbursts. No passive-aggressive comments. No social media cryptic posts. Just quiet professionalism. Still preparing. Still ready. Still a part of the team. But let's be honest. How does a player recover from something like this? He did everything right. Recovered from injury. Stayed focused. Stayed in the system. And still, he got sidelined for hype. That has to sting. And for a young quarterback still trying to find his rhythm in the NFL, it's a brutal reminder that sometimes your career trajectory has nothing to do with you. Sometimes you're just the casualty of a marketing strategy. This whole situation highlights a growing truth in the NFL. Media buzz is becoming a strategic asset. It's not just about arm strength or reading defenses anymore. If you can bring fans to the stadium and clicks to the screen, you're suddenly part of the business calculus. And that's what Shedeur Sanders represents. Potential on the field and proven value off it. He's got the following. He's got the name. He's got the story. That's gold for ownership trying to sell hope. But it creates a brutal tension for coaching staff and players. Because how do you coach a team when you know your decisions can be overruled by someone chasing headlines? How do you ask players to buy and when effort isn't enough to protect their role? How do you keep the locker room unified when the front office sends a clear message? Performance takes a backseat to profit. This is what Stefanski is facing now. His authority was undercut. His QB room turned into a media firestorm. And now he has to manage a team that knows decisions are being made far above his pay grade. He has to walk a tightrope, support Sanders, keep Gabriel motivated, and somehow maintain credibility in a room that just watched him get overridden by an owner. That's not an enviable spot. And for Shedeur, the pressure doesn't stop. Because now every move he makes is going to be dissected not just as a rookie QB learning the ropes, but as the centerpiece of a front office power play. He has to be perfect. Not just good, perfect. Because if he struggles even slightly, that he didn't earn it narrative comes roaring back. If the Browns lose, people will say it's because the owner forced the wrong decision. That kind of pressure can crush a young quarterback, no matter how talented or tough. But here's the thing. Shedeur Sanders might just be able to flip the script. He's got the tools. He's got the poise. And if he can keep delivering under this spotlight, if he can string together wins and stabilize this offense, he could turn this moment into his own. Not Haslam's. His. He could transform the story from owner interference to rookie rise. From hype to hero. From controversy to franchise cornerstone. But that won't happen overnight. And it won't erase how this started. Because even if Sanders succeeds, the question will linger. Was it worth it? Was undermining the coaching staff, benching a player who'd done everything right, and risking locker room stability worth the media splash? And what happens the next time Haslam wants a medal? That's the real takeaway here. The Browns didn't just change quarterbacks. They changed the conversation. They showed that in this version of the NFL, being marketable might matter more than being ready. So where does that leave the team? Shedeur Sanders and Kevin Stefanski, with one quarterback trying to prove he's not just hype, another trying to stay ready while being publicly dismissed, a head coach forced to manage someone else's agenda, and an owner who's playing chess with the roster for media gain. This isn't just a QB controversy. It's a culture shift. Now, we want to hear what you think. Was Dillon Gabriel unfairly benched? Can Shedeur Sanders silence the critics? Should owners ever be involved in depth chart decisions? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button if you're as stunned as we are. And subscribe if you want more breakdowns of the messiest, most dramatic moves in sports and pop culture. Because trust us, this saga, It's only getting started. Let's go deeper. Because everything happening in Cleveland right now is bigger than just two quarterbacks. This situation is the NFL stripped down to its rawest truth. Business over football, optics over merit, and profit over process. Jimmy Haslam didn't just shake up the Browns' QB room. He exposed the blueprint so many teams try to keep hidden. And now, with Shedeur Sanders under center, we're all watching the fallout unfold in real time. Let's not get it twisted. Haslam knew exactly what he was doing. Dillon Gabriel wasn't struggling. He wasn't limping through games. He had cleared concussion protocol. He was practicing, performing, holding down the job like any solid second-year quarterback trying to earn his long-term place. But Gabriel doesn't drive headlines. He doesn't bring viral clips. He's not a social media darling. He's a good player trying to get better, and that doesn't sell tickets in November. So Haslam made a move. He took Shedeur Sanders, rookie, lightning rod, media magnet, and slid him into the starting spot. Not because of on-field necessity. Not because he blew the doors off in camp. But because the Browns needed noise. Fast. Let's be real. Shedeur is noise. He's got a legacy name, a massive following, and the kind of fan energy that turns preseason games into content gold. He walks into a building and the camera crews follow. That's what Haslam wanted, and that's exactly what he got. But in the process, he may have done irreparable damage to the actual structure of this team. Let's talk locker room dynamics. This isn't a fantasy league. These are real people, real professionals, and trust inside that building is everything. When guys put their bodies on the line every week, they have to believe in the system. They need to feel like jobs are earned, not given, because someone up top wants a new PR cycle. And when that belief breaks, things start to rot from the inside. Sources close to the team have hinted at exactly that. Frustration among veterans, confusion from younger players, tension bubbling under the surface. Players aren't dumb. They see what's happening. They talk. And in a room full of alpha personalities, it only takes one or two guys questioning leadership to send the whole thing sideways. This wasn't just a QB decision. It was a message. It told the locker room, the scoreboard doesn't matter as much as the headlines. And now, the team has to live with that. Stefanski, who spent years trying to build a stable culture in Cleveland, has to convince grown men that he's still the one making decisions, even after he clearly wasn't. That's not just awkward. That's near impossible. When your authority is publicly undermined by ownership, it doesn't matter how many meetings you hold or how many team dinners you schedule. The damage is done. The trust? Shaky at best. And let's talk about Shedeur Sanders. He didn't ask for this mess. He's not out there making demands. By all accounts, he's handled the spotlight with calm. Professionalism. He didn't flinch when the pressure hit. He didn't let the noise rattle him. He walked into his first start and performed. That's not easy. Rookie or not, this was a high-stakes debut, every camera watching, every analyst dissecting every throw. And Sanders delivered. Smart decisions, poise in the pocket, command of the offense. He didn't look like a kid riding hype. He looked like a quarterback who belonged. But that still doesn't clean up how he got here. Because for all his skill, all his maturity, all his potential, this promotion didn't feel earned. It felt orchestrated. A top-down move designed to create momentum, not build it. And that's the tough part. No matter how well Sanders plays, there will always be a question mark next to this moment. Did he take the job, or was it given to him? That question? It doesn't go away. Not for him. Not for Gabriel. Not for the... And speaking of Gabriel, let's talk about what this means for him. This wasn't just a demotion. It was a public dismissal. A signal that even when you do everything right, heal up, stay ready, play solid football, you can still be cast aside. Not for someone better, but for someone shinier. That's the NFL at its coldest. You're not just competing with teammates. You're competing with algorithms, jersey sales, and social media metrics. Gabriel has handled it like a pro. No drama. No public statements. Just staying locked in, running scout team, doing the work. But how do you stay motivated when the message is clear, Performance didn't protect. That's the mental battle now. Not just for him, but for every player watching this unfold. Because if this could happen to Gabriel, why not to them? The NFL is brutal enough without politics. Add in owner interference, and it becomes a different beast entirely. One where loyalty is fragile and effort doesn't guarantee opportunity. This situation has turned into a case study in everything players don't want to deal with. And yet here we are, because one owner couldn't resist the allure of headlines. And let's not forget the long-term implications. If Shedeur succeeds, great. But what happens the next time there's a personnel decision? Does Haslam step in again? Does the coaching staff keep losing ground? Do players start checking out, knowing their fate isn't really in the coach's hands? This wasn't a one-time disruption. It was a seismic shift in how this team operates. And you can't just pretend that didn't happen. Even if the Browns win, the foundation's been shaken. And if they lose, it's going to get ugly. Because then the media turns. The fans turn. And suddenly, this isn't a feel-good rookie story. It's a cautionary tale. A reminder that chasing hype rarely ends well in this league. Haslam better hope Sanders is that good. Not just good enough. Not just promising. Exceptional. Because if he's anything less, the whole thing blows back on him. And it won't just be Stefanski in the hot seat. It'll be Haslam's leadership, his decision-making, his entire legacy with the franchise. Because in the NFL, you don't get to meddle and then disappear. You own the outcome. And right now, this entire quarterback situation, that's on Haslam. This wasn't football. This was business dressed in shoulder pads. The question now is simple. Can Shedeur Sanders rise above it? Can he shut out the noise, rally the locker room, and become the kind of quarterback that makes all of this chaos worth it? Or will he get swallowed by the spotlight that wasn't supposed to be his yet? Only time will tell. But make no mistake, this story isn't about wins and losses anymore. It's about control. It's about trust. And it's about what kind of team the Browns are becoming. Are they building something real? Or just chasing whatever trend gets the most clicks? That's the drama. That's the tension. That's the weight Shedeur now has to carry. And we'll all be watching. And just when you think the drama can't get any thicker, here comes the silence from the Browns front office. No public explanation. No accountability. Just a sudden announcement, a rookie QB under center. And a head coach gritting his teeth through media availability like everything's normal. But nothing about this is because this isn't just a one-week story. It's a lingering issue that now lives in every practice, every meeting, every film session. Whether the Browns want to admit it or not, this move fractured something. It put profit on a pedestal and shoved performance to the back row. And even if Shedeur Sanders ends up being the guy, this is how it started. That's not going away. For Gabriel, the message was loud. It doesn't matter how steady you are. It doesn't matter how quickly you return from injury. If the franchise sees someone more profitable, you're out. And that's not just brutal, it's demoralizing. The NFL already asks players to give everything. Their time, their health, their futures. But it used to be that if you played well enough, worked hard enough, you'd get your shot. You'd get your fair shot. Now, that promise feels a little hollow. Gabriel is left holding the clipboard, the narrative rewritten around him without warning. He didn't lose a job. He lost control of his own story. And what's worse, he can't push back. If he speaks up, he's ungrateful. If he stays quiet, he disappears into the background. So he keeps his head down. He stays ready. And everyone watches, knowing the reality. His career was just reshaped by a marketing decision. And what about Shedeur? Let's be honest, he didn't choose this rollout. But he's benefiting from it, and that puts him in a tough position. He has to be perfect because of how he got the job. Every stat line is a referendum. Every press conference? A test. Was this the right move? Is he worth the hype? Can he carry the weight of someone else's power play? 1. So far, he's handled the pressure with a kind of calm that makes you pay attention. He hasn't flinched. He hasn't played scared. His mechanics look sharp. His pocket presence looks real. And most importantly, he looks like a guy who belongs in the league. But potential isn't enough when the spotlight was forced on you. People expect proof, fast. And that's the trap. Because if Shedeur has even a single off game, the noise will explode. The same hype that got him here will flip and turn into scrutiny. And that scrutiny won't just hit him. It'll land on Haslam hard. Because when you override your coach, you own the outcome. If Sanders plays well, Haslam gets to with a smug grin. But if things go south, it's his credibility on the line. Not Stefanski's. Not Gabriel's. His. And credibility is already thin. Let's not act like this is a stable franchise. The Browns have been clawing for relevance for years. Every time it feels like they're turning a corner, something like this yanks the wheel. Now, instead of building on momentum, they're chasing a shortcut. And shortcuts? They always come with a price. This isn't how you build a championship team. You don't bench young talent mid-development just to spark buzz. You don't undermine your coaching staff to chase clicks. And you definitely don't use your rookie quarterback as a PR stunt. Because the NFL remembers these things. Agents talk. Players talk. Future free agents watch this and wonder, if it happened to Gabriel, could it happen to me? And that's where the damage starts to snowball. This controversy has already shaped how people view the Browns. It's no longer about growth or long-term development. It's about flash decisions made in boardrooms instead of locker rooms. And even if Shedeur does become a franchise quarterback, the Browns still start his story with controversy. That's the part that doesn't get erased. The mess becomes part of the narrative, no matter how many touchdowns follow. And Kevin Stefanski too. So where does this leave Cleveland? With a rookie quarterback under pressure to justify a non-football decision. With a young QB on the bench trying not to disappear. With a coaching staff navigating around the fingerprints of an owner who doesn't know when to stay out of the way. And with a fan base, confused, frustrated, and still hoping it was all worth it. Let us know what you think. Was Shedeur's start the right call? Did Dillon Gabriel deserve better? And how much should an owner be allowed to shape decisions that belong to the coaching staff? Hit the comments and let's talk. Like the video if you're still recovering from this plot twist. Share it with someone who's riding the Sanders hype train or someone who's still Team Gabriel. And don't forget to subscribe. Because this story, it's only the beginning.